What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video. And yes, we're continuing to talk about the Switch 2 foolishness and the grifting clowns out there who continue on with this narrative. So my last video on this, the thumbnail was Nintending is a fraud, and then he's continuing to fraud, and he's added a new adjective to the character of what he's been doing, and that is cowardice. Alright, so let's talk about it. So Switch 2 has come out, and it's had issues for this thing as key cards and the pricing of certain games and the Switch 2 editions, which I actually have a video specifically on, and whatnot. So it has issues, and we've talked about those issues. Now, Switch 1 also had issues. It had pricing issues as well. People didn't like the price, the cost of the Joy-Cons. People didn't like the cost of the Switch Pro controller, and that was not in a tariff situation like we are in now, obviously. So there was complaints about that, complaints about how certain games cost more on Switch because of the cartridge cost. And so these aren't new things, and I'm like, if you're complaining about these things and and they're breaking you as far as the Switch 2 concerned, why didn't it break you when the Switch 1? When these were things on the Switch 1 that was a concern. When we were talking about Wii U ports to Switch, and how they were upcharging for those, and how it was kind of ridiculous because you're putting ports on the system when we could have new games. And I was complaining about these things, but they didn't break me. I was just kind of annoyed and upset. Where were these all of a sudden staunch, pure Nintendo fans who wanted to make Nintendo better? Where were they then? I don't remember the videos from these guys back in 2017 and beyond. And they're old enough. It's not like, and they had channels. Some of them had channels. Some of these guys complaining now also had channels back then. And had plenty of time to make these videos that I made. Where were these guys then? So that's kind of my issue with them, and them saying that they're not grifters because you weren't doing that then. These aren't new issues. Nintendo's kind of quote-unquote anti-consumerism, that's not a new thing. They've been litigious and going after people all for years and decades. So why are you acting like these are new issues that are coming up that make you, I'm the good Nintendo fan? Like, where were you on these issues? I think that is a valid question that they will not answer. So I don't get it from that premise alone. So, there's been multiple videos talking about the sales and how, they're not as good as they look. And, Nintendo has had thumbnails, and he's had videos talking about these things. And he's trying to create these narratives, about, well, this doesn't look as good in this country, in Zimbabwe. And I'm bringing up Zimbabwe because he brought that up in his recent video about Switch 2 and how it's continuing to break records. And he said, well, again, if you go back and watch my video, I said what these guys would say when the official numbers came out, and it proved that Nintendo Switch 2 was doing really well. I said how they were going to shift their narratives, and it's exactly what I said. I mean, I'm not a genius here. I'm not Galileo. I'm not Nostradamus. I just, this is pretty obvious what they were going to do, because you had to keep feeding this beast that you created. And you're pretending that they're Nintendo fans, and they're clearly not. Go to the comment section and tell me that all that vitriol in the comment section is from Nintendo fans that have been broken. It's utter nonsense. And again, it's an assault on people's intelligence. But yes, so the narrative, let me bring up the expected narrative that I said that would happen is that these guys would just say, oh, well, it's sell through and not sell in, or I hope I'm saying that right. Sell through means, like, one of them means to customers. I should have looked this up better, but you'll know what I'm talking about. You guys already know, I'm sure. One of them means to just retailers, just sold to the retailers, and one means actually customers have them in their hands. And I'm just going to say that has never been a fucking problem before. Nobody's ever argued, oh, when something has sold, is it actually in people's hands or is it to the stores? That's never been an issue, or never been a thing that anybody ever brought up in the history of retail until, at least in the gaming community, when I first started seeing it, was when the PS4 was selling really well. And, you know, there's reasons to wonder why the thing was selling. It's not like it had all these new compelling games that were selling. It's just it was just a console of choice. It's just a console of like the, if you would, the casual consumer. Casual consumers are going to buy the next PlayStation console because it's called PlayStation. And so there was a lot of Xbox fanboys at the time saying, well, that's not actually to people. It's it's shipped. These are shipped numbers. And I remember specifically, vividly, people on the Xbox community saying, oh, it's just shipped to stores. It's not actually people actually bought them. Well, I'm going to ask you. First of all, that doesn't matter because it's never mattered in the history of gaming or in the history of retail period. But that doesn't matter because a store isn't going to buy a bunch of consoles they don't think they're going to sell. They think they're selling these things. They're looking at the demand. They're looking at, we get these in and they sell however fast it sells. And they said, based on that, we want this amount of consoles. So you can tell if something's popular regardless if it's actually selling directly to consumers, because if it's going to retailers, they're buying enough stock because they know they're going to get through it. They're not going to buy a bunch of stock that they think is going to sit around and is going to collect dust and cost them money. So that's why it's never been an issue to talk about what's sold to consumers direct or what's in consumers' hands and what's actually in retail and consumers' hands, the disparity on that. That's why it's never matter. But it matters now. And it's, like I said, it mattered to the Xbox guys because it's like, I can't understand why this thing is selling, based on how I feel about it. Why is this thing selling? I'm just going to say, well, this is how many they shipped. Well, they were sold. They bought, these retailers bought them. This money is exchanged to Nintendo. And he acts like we don't know. That's the narrative because that's how you get out of it. Oh, these guys are being disingenuous. They don't know the difference between shipped and sold, sell-in or sell-through. They don't know the difference. Of course we know the difference. We all know the difference. The difference just never mattered before. It only matters to grifters who want to string a narrative about why something is selling well, is doing well. Well, it's not actually to people. It's just to retailers. That's never mattered before until now. Until recently has that mattered because people want to string their narratives along, and he knows this. We know this, but he also knows that this is a thing. So people have been, I guess, beating him over the head. Obviously a lot of fans were like, aha, look at these sales. The Switch 2 is selling well. So much for your narrative. So he has to find a way to explain away the success, which is, again, it's weird. But it's something he has to do because he has all these people that have grouped around him that cheer on this nonsense. And now he has to feed that beast or he's not going to get the same views anymore. So this is what I said in the video before. This is pretty well known knowledge for most people even thinking about this kind of thing. And so I guess, like I said, he's been getting a lot of flack or a lot of attention in his comment sections about, look at the sales of this, look at the sales of that. And people have a right to do that because he's the one that's been downplaying the sales from the beginning, even before Switch 2 came out. He was, kind of ragging on it and whatnot. So that is a normal, understandable thing, but he'll make it look like it's crazy. People are crazy coming after me for these crazy reasons. And the condescension, the continued condescension from this guy is what bothers me. Again, I don't care that he, makes up stuff about Switch 2. It doesn't matter because the facts are there. That doesn't matter. It's the fact that he tries to act like he's the better Nintendo fan. He sees things that nobody else sees. He's amazing. That's the kind of stuff that kind of rubs me the wrong way, that annoys me and makes me want to talk about these things. So people are saying, I guess people in his comment section are saying, because he said in this video about the numbers recently, that people want him to debate this person or that person, and of course he cowardly backed away from that. And again, he'll have reasons in the chamber. He has reasons to why he's backing away from that, and his reason is, you guys won't even agree with my premise that the sell through versus shipped. And it's like, that's the reason. We understand sell through, we understand what's shipped, and we understand the difference between that. But the point is, it doesn't matter, because it's selling through, it's shipping because it's popular, because retailers want it in their store, not only to buy that product, but because it's a popular product, they want you to come into their store and maybe pick up something else. That's how they make their money. So they're not going to stock a bunch of stuff that's not selling. It's just, it doesn't make sense. So he comes up with this excuse as to why he wouldn't debate anybody on this, because they don't really understand the difference. Like he has some kind of amazing magical mind that nobody else has, and it's just complete and utter bullshit. That's all it is. That's the kind of stuff that annoys me about this guy in particular. And other YouTubers and his ilk are also running with this nonsense. But again, that's why the thumbnail says he's not just a fraud, but he's also a coward, because he's running away from people like me. I mean, I haven't called to debate him on this, because the debate wouldn't last that long. We'd actually agree on some things. And you can see my videos on stuff that we agree on. What we would disagree is on this constant narrative of negativity. Like, he would not win that argument. He would not win that. So that's what the debate would be about. You can't debate that the sales aren't amazing, that this is not the fastest selling console of all time. It is, regardless if it sells to retailers or if it sells to individuals. It's going to get there at some point. The numbers are going to be the numbers. And like I said, when these things happen, when the narrative they can't follow along with that continued negativity, they have to switch the narrative, and it's going to happen with him too as well. At some point, he's going to yell "Uncle." Nintendo it's because it's on a trajectory to do outstanding, and we haven't even got to like the big core games yet. Like that could be some of the gripes. Is like, oh, we don't have this game yet, we don't have this franchise yet. But even without that, that's what I'm saying, even without those core franchises, this is the fastest selling game console of all time. There's no way to dispute that. It's just the facts. Nintendo can't lie about that, because they would be in serious fraud troubles when it comes to expectations and how they're perceived and seen by the investors. Like, they can't lie to investors about the sales. That is just security. I think it's called securities fraud, and they'd be done. So they can't lie about that, right? So the numbers are the numbers, and my problem is when you try to make the numbers not what they are. You try to skew them in some way. You talk about the sales of consoles in Zimbabwe. Oh, it's not doing too well in Zimbabwe. And again, this is something he brought up to condescend to everybody who was, getting at him or whatever. And he will yell "Uncle" at some point. And he'll have to turn and say, well, Nintendo's doing better now, so it's safe for me to buy these things and purchase these things. We're just waiting for you. I mean, it's going to happen. We're waiting for you, because you're a Nintendo glazer, as you said. So we're waiting for you to say, yes, Switch 2 is where it should be now. I bought one. Look at me. I bought a Switch 2. And it's going to be positive videos throughout that point. His views are going to drop, because a lot of those non-Nintendo fans in his comment section, let's just be honest, who have subscribed to him, they're not really Nintendo fans. They will have dispersed, and he'll be getting normal views pertinent to his subscriber base. Actually, it'll probably drop below that, pertinent to his subscriber base. That is something that's going to happen at some point, and we'll all forget about this. It'll be forgotten in the annals of Switch 2 and its sales and how it's doing and has done and is going to do. And a lot of people want him to, they want him to stop. Like, again, it doesn't bother me one bit about him to criticize, because I criticize them as well. It's just the narrative that annoys me. And he will, like I said, he'll succumb, and he'll be doing quote unquote positive Nintendo content. Not that I need him to, but that's just what's going to happen, because we've seen this play out before. We've seen this screenplay already. And that's just what's going to happen. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. There is something else I wanted to say specifically about this. I've been kind of rambling in the last few seconds to try to remember. But, you know, I think I got my main premise out there. And as far as like debating him, I haven't been asked, and nobody's asking me to do it. He just said it on his channel that people have been asking him, why don't you debate these people or debate certain people about these things, these topics? And he said why he won't do it. At the end of the day, we're talking about video games. It's not that big of a deal. It never was. This is a luxury hobby. It's not a serious thing. We got serious things going on in this country and in the world that it's something to get rowdy about. Not this. So, I mean, it is what it is. But it is very cowardly to kind of preemptively, or is it preemptive? Is that a word? When you're doing something, preemptive? No, that's not. It's not preemptive. Basically, he's bowing out prematurely. Bowing out of a debate because he has this premise of, oh, they won't agree with the facts. They don't agree with the facts. That's why they're debating me on these things. And no, we agree with the facts. It's the nuance of your narrative or your conceived or perceived and continued narratives about why it's the Switch 2 is just a horrible, horrible thing. I just disagree with that. That is what I fundamentally disagree. And I also disagree with the fact, again, that your audience is full of disgruntled Nintendo fans. It's just not possible based on the numbers. You know, based on the numbers, it is not possible that you have a congregation of just, you know, Nintendo fans who want Nintendo to be better, and you guys are just sycophants. That's what I wanted to talk about. Fans. Because I saw a recent video, like today, about the difference between fans and sycophants. Sycophants want you to be happy and enjoy everything about a certain product or whatever it is, no matter what. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of sports teams, right? I talk about this probably too much. I'm a New York Giants fan, but because I'm a fan doesn't mean I don't recognize the fact that they're kind of trash right now, and I point out that they're trash, and I can do that as a fan. I can say, hey, this sucks, but I don't have to end up turning around completely hating them because they're not where I think they can be and should be. That's just it's not a thing. But like sycophants or fanatics, they want you to ignore everything that's negative, and you know, I don't do that. I can't ignore the negative stuff and just talk about the positive. And that happened a lot with like I'm a Star Wars fan. Star Wars fandom. There's a certain segment that just has to love everything. They love everything. Everything is perfect. Nothing's bad. And I don't want to mire in negativity. Like I could make daily. I guess I can make daily content about how stuff is negative, but to me that would be disingenuous. It's not genuine at all, because there's not enough content to do that about. There's not enough negative things about something that I like for me to do constant daily videos. Even if it's not daily, it's every video is a negative slant on it, and I can't do that. There's just not enough for me to do that with. And I would totally get bored and annoyed with myself for doing that. The only motivation would be money. And it's a really good motivator in this country, in its world. But it is a motivator. And I just don't, I'm annoyed by people who don't admit that that's the reason and try to act like, oh, no, you're the bad guy. Because you're the fanatic. But no, I criticize them too. I just don't think, I think your criticisms are bogus and beyond what is necessary and beyond helpful. just you're not doing anything other than feeding people who already hate Nintendo. Like a lot of PC dudes just can't stand Nintendo, mainly because they don't put Nintendo games on PC, and so you get them. Obviously, you can emulate them, but there's not like an official way to buy Nintendo games, especially new stuff, right? So they get really annoyed they get extra annoyed at Nintendo's tactics because, one, they're not fans. Fans will get annoyed about something, but at the end of the day, they are fans, and they're not gonna like mire themselves daily into negativity. That doesn't make any sense as a fan. Now, if you're a fan who's no longer a fan, or you were a fan and you turned away, that's fine. I mean, that's valid. You're angry because they made you turn away. So that's a valid thing. But if you're like acting like you're just a fan who wants to make them better, that doesn't exist. You are a grifter, and you are insulting all of our intelligence. And that's the kind of stuff that needs to stop. Just admit it, dude. Like, for real. Like, it's not really that big a deal. The guys who that you've groomed or whatever, they're not going to go away. That audience, they're just there for the negativity anyway. So if you just, are honest and say, yeah, I'm just, I just want to hate on Nintendo, that's fine. Those guys aren't going away. You don't get to lose that audience. As you said, you've already felt like you've lost, a big, the real audience, the real Nintendo fan audience has already kind of gone away. I think you said you lost, in the beginning, you lost like 1,000 subscribers or something like that. I don't know. Those are the real core fans. That's just, it's just what it is. Like, as a fan who has issues with certain things, about whatever I'm a fan of, I can criticize them because as a fan, I want that to be gone. I don't want that issue to persist. But the only people that hang around that negative content, people that like trolls or people who don't care one iota about that thing, and they hate it sometimes. They actively don't like it, and they will mire themselves in the negativity, in the muck, if you will. That's the only group of people that would do that. So, yeah, that's my video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you surprised by the response to Nintendo Switch 2 sales continuing to be astronomical? And it's only gonna, they didn't even add in like the Pokemon stuff. So I'm sure it's over 10 million. And to sit here and try to pick out and semantically argue that it's not, like, again, that's never happened before. Nobody's ever cared about what the sales actually meant if you dived in. It's about that number up top. And that's always what it's ever been about. And to act like there's some enlightenment there to where, we got to nuancely pick out these certain things. Like, you've already lost at that point. Sadly, you've lost at that point. When you point those things out, it's embarrassing. Stop. I mean, you can continue doing it because I also have content as well when you do it. But I also have like 7 videos that I have ready that I can put out also as well. They won't do as well. I understand that because they're not as juicy, if you will. But I'm not doing this for the funds. I'm doing this for the culture. It's fun. Debate, all that kind of stuff is fun for me. So, yeah, that's my video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.